Ta-da! And back at you with another video. And welcome to this edition of Stop the Capping. I am your host Ahmad, and let's talk about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, some of you may or may not have seen this particular story. I'm gonna show it right to you right there in the description. Some of you may or may not have seen this story popping up on your social media page all over the place. And this particular incident that I'm showing you right here, it's been popping up everywhere on everyone's social media page. Shannon Sharp has talked about it. Every freaking podcast content creator, every Facebook real content creator, every YouTube creator, every podcast, especially those of African American, um, are reporting this incident that you see here on my phone. And I just did a video 2 days ago, maybe three at the most, about why are we still having race issues here in the United States. Now, a lot of those that have been posting and commenting about the situation, about the incident that happened between the South Carolina Gamecocks and the Texas A&M Aggies, um, have been straight up going after the officer. All we see is a bump, and we see, first of all, let's start from the beginning. Let's just start from the beginning. And today's topic is about must everything be black and white? Must everything be black and white? As I as I spoke earlier, I did a video about why we still having racism, race problems here in 2025. Why do we still have a racism problem here in the United States? And this is 2025. This incident that happened right here, for those who don't know what's going on, you can look it on your social media. This is my Facebook page. But for those of you who are blind to the world, take a look at it. It's on your social media page right now, and it's on all the podcasts that's out there. This is my issue, and this is my concern. My issue is everyone some people are assuming things and adding things to the situation. And what I mean by that is, you see a Gamecock player from South Carolina run about 84 yards, give or take. I may be off on the numbers, but he scores a touchdown, and he outruns the defender, and he just keeps on running. He runs through the end zone and through the entranceway. A few seconds later, you see him and some other teammates coming out, and you see an officer come in. A shove, a shoving incident happens at the entrance between two South Carolina football players and a state trooper, a Texas state trooper. Now, from the from the footage, at least from the footage that I saw, because there are several different video filming of this from different angles being put on whatever podcast is out there. So there are numerous videos being shown of this incident that happened yesterday at the football game. And what appears from my viewpoint is one of the officers, the state trooper that came through at the football place were exiting out. it was like an intentional bump by the officer. It appears from the video it was like an intentional bump from the officer into the player. The officer then, once the two players and the troopers bump into each other, the officer appeared to turn around in an angry and unprovoked manner, and he looked like he was pointing and saying something to the players. Now, there were no audio of being played, so no one really knows what was being said between the parties involved, the Gamecock football players and the state troopers. People are assuming that the bump was because the player scored a touchdown against the Texas A&M. People are assuming and alleging that the officer was upset because the player had scored a touchdown. This is the point and problem that I have with. We need to stop assuming things. If no one physically asks the trooper or the football player exactly what happened, let's stop assuming things. If no one asks questions, then let's stop assuming. Let's stop guessing. Let's stop coming up with our own ideology of what they thought or we appear to happen. I'm just giving you an assessment of what I saw from the videos that I watched and from my viewpoint. Contact was made. I'm not sure why the officer turned around so angrily because it does appear he was angered. And if he felt that he was shoved or bumped inappropriately by the players, well, the players could assume that they were bumped by him also. So the blame could go on both parties. Instead of both men or all men involved just saying, hey, my bad to one another and then just walk it off, everyone is as assuming that the officer is chastising or going after the young man that bumped him or he bumped into. Because it's clear from my vantage point, from my viewpoint, it looked like the officer bumped into the players. And it looked like it was more intention on his part than on the players. It looked like the officer put some force behind the bump, just in my viewpoint. I don't want to make it a black and white issue. I just want to make it a human issue. Even though a Caucasian officer was involved, even though two African American football players from the South Carolina team were involved, I don't want to make it a black and white issue because as long as we make it a black and white issue, it turns into racism. It turns into another racism situation. It turns into another black and white situation. And when you bring in black and white behind drama, there's always more underlaying and overlaying to the situation. There's always people speculating what's the end game and what's the over game. Then you got parties on the right, parties on the left, speculation, Indo, I can't pronounce the correct word that I want to say. But people start making up things based on their own perception of the situation that they saw. Just as I saw the situation, I don't want to turn it into a black and white situation, as though many are. Shannon Sharp was appalled, the person should be suspended, and so forth and so on. Ryan Clark from the Pivot, he spoke about it. He was appalled. The guy should have been suspended. He owes an apology, so forth and so on. I think all men should have apologized to one another right then and there, and this would not have been the issue. but it's just a matter in which the officer, who, in my opinion, initiated the bump, turned and pointed his fingers. Now, no audio has been shown on my end, or I have not seen any audio of any wording or communication between the players and the officer and the state trooper was involved. I have not seen any video where there was an exchange of words other than the pointing of fingers. And it looked harsh from the video, which is why some people are up in arms over it because of the officer's demeanor, the officer's behavior, just on a simple bump, which you initiated. It's like, why are you getting mad on something you initiated? From my viewpoint, from my vantage of what I've seen, it looked like the state trooper initiated the bump. Now, I'm not going to assume why he initiated the bump, but he did. I'm not going to see people are assuming because the player scored a touchdown. I won't assume that because I'm not in that officer's mind. I'm not in that trooper's thought process. So I don't know the reason why he took such an aggressive stance over a simple bump that he initiated. He took a very defensive and aggressive stand over a bump that you initiate. And why? And now what you gonna do with a 6'4", 200 some pound football player in shape? What you gonna use your gun with 50,000 people watching, cameras all around? How you gonna justify that? Because trust me, you definitely wasn't going one-on-one with him. You may felt power because you had your weapon on you. Trust and believe me, that's the only reason why you went back and engaged at that player. Had you not had your weapon on you, you could have still been in that uniform. But had you not had your weapon on you, you would not have engaged the way you engaged. You probably would have said, yeah, I did the same thing. No, you would not. You could have had that same uniform on. Trust and believe me, if you did not have that weapon on your side, you would not do what you did. And that's point blank and period. We're going to keep it live. We're going to tell the truth. You don't stop the capping. I don't want to call it a black and white issue. You can call it a police struggle, a police power, a manpower, however you want to address the power issue with the state trooper. But point blank and period, in my opinion, if that officer was not wearing his side weapon, his side piece, he would not have acted as aggressively as he did on a bump. Trust and believe me, he would not. Because nowhere in the world you going to handle that 6'4", in shape football player. Let's keep it 100. You would have got your ass tore up. And you definitely wasn't going to handle two of them. They would have bounced you around like a paper doll. You would have got hemmed up. Definitely got hemmed up. Left, right, and center. They would have hemmed you up if you did not have your side piece on you. And you kept on with this foolishness. The only reason why they proceeded and walked away from the situation, one, because they recognized you was a state trooper. Two, they're in a game that they don't want to get kicked out, they don't want to get suspended on. And three and four, they don't want to get shot because you got your side piece on you. They don't know your mindset, but trust and believe me, I don't believe you would have did what you had done if you did not have your side piece on you. It's my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think this would have escalated if that officer did not have his weapon on him. By having that weapon on him, he felt empowered. He felt superior. Not the uniform, it was his weapon on him. Because trust and believe me, if he didn't have that weapon on him, he would not have behaved like that. because they would have told him a new asshole. We can keep it 100. They would have told him a new asshole had he escalated this further. But being in this environment and surrounding that he was in, the young men took the other course of action. They saw he was a state trooper. They knew where they were. So the best thing to do is just walk away. Just walk away and get back to our side of the court. That's the best course of action to do. Just walk away. Don't sit there engaging. There was something flying around. I'm not sure what that was. I apologize for that. I'm not going to edit it because this is live. This is I keep it 100 here on Stop the Cap. Everything and anything goes. But my thing is this: the football players did the right thing, but just saying if there was some words exchange, and then just walk away. Just walk away because clearly he was pissed off and angry about something, but he initiated it. You can't be pissed off and angry about something that you initiated. You initiated the bump, and then you're gonna get angry because you did the bumping or you started the bumping. That makes no sense. You started it, you initiated it, but then now you're angry. Make it make sense. So he has been suspended or sent home from those type of activities. So why would a state trooper behave like that over a game? Why? You're a grown man, you're an adult. Why would you behave like that? They're they're young men. They're probably still teenagers. If not, they're on their way out of college. They're young men. So if you behave like that as an adult, as a state trooper, what kind of example or leadership are you setting for those young men? You're a state trooper, a law enforcement. We constantly tell the community to respect and honor your law enforcement officers, men and women, because they have a tough job out there to do. But yet you disrespect on the other end. How do you think someone's going to respect you when you disrespect them? How do you earn respect when you are disrespecting others? Someone make that make sense. How do you earn respect when you are disrespecting? I don't want to make it a black and white issue because a Caucasian officer and two African American players were involved. The real issue is the behavior of the state trooper. Not that he was Caucasian, it's just his behavior. See, we got to stop looking at the race of the man sometimes and just look at it as it is. His behavior. Doesn't matter his ethnicity, his nationality, his race. It's the conduct and behavior of a state trooper that should be the issue and the focus. And why do something like this? Why behave in a manner like this? Especially at a football game where thousands of people, teenagers, kids are watching. Why would you behave like this? And now your behavior is all over social media. Your conduct behavior as a state trooper is all over the media, and no one knows the issue and true intent about what happened because there's no audio. So now you got millions of people out here now taking sides over something that you initiated. You got millions of people out here now on the black side, on the white side, people left, right, and center are taking issues with your behavior. Millions of people now are being shown these your conduct and action and behavior all over social media. Anyone and everyone who has access to content, makes content, creates content, is now showing your video and your action. I'm not going to show. I just showed a clip of it, but I'm not going to actually show the video itself. If you want to see it, you can go to YouTube or whatever content that you like watching. It's out there. I talk about the social issue behind it, not so much the reaction of the video. I'm not a reaction. I don't make reactionary videos. That's not what I do. That's not what this channel is about. I'm not taking someone's content and reacting to the content that they're creating. That's not what I do. I may talk about your content. I may talk about your actions and behavior, but I'm not going to react to it. I don't do content creation. I'm not going to post the video up here and say, "Hey, look what they did." This I'm not a reactionary content creator. That's not what I do. But I do concern myself with social issues that involves the world and people within the world. That's what I'm about. Because we need to bring the world together. We need to stop making black and white issues. That's the only way we're gonna fight and kill this racism. If we start dealing with the human beings and start dealing with the race of the human being. Let's just deal with the human beings and their behavior and their conduct. Let's not start talking about, well, they were black and they did this, so they were white and they do this. Let's deal with the human being and their conduct and behavior. It shouldn't matter whether they're green or purple, which is why I made the video that I did a couple of days ago about why are we still having racism problems here in the United States in this 2025. Why are we still having issues? Why are we still having black and white issues? Why are we having conduct and behavior by law enforcement like this that are creating this negative image? And to me, the negative image is not really the police, it's the negative image of the individual. He's making himself look big, look bad in a Texas state uniform. He is a Texas state trooper making himself look bad in a uniform, shining a negative light on the uniform, shining a negative light on what his duty is and why he's there. He's there to serve and protect. How you serving and protecting and you bumping into people and then getting pissed off? How are you there to serve and protect the community, which is the players on both right and left and the fans in the stand, and you are here engaging in conflicts and interests like that? Who you protecting? And you behaving like this? You a state trooper. You the next tier up above a police officer. You the next tier up. You have police, and then you have your state troopers. You the next thing up. You the next pay grade up. Your requirement as to be a state trooper and your training as to be a state trooper is probably greater and higher than that to be a police officer in that Texas area. You are a step above a police officer. But you but your behavior and conduct, look what it's doing. Look what the light that you shine on your fellow officers within the state of Texas. Look what light you shined on that. You took a simple bump that you initiated it, and now you got this stuff all over social media. Your push is shoved, is shown left, right, and center all over the world. All over the world. Everybody's looking what you did. Everybody's commenting and making a content creation off your action and conduct. Everybody. Everybody wants you suspended, terminated, so forth and so on. No, I don't think you should be terminated. I think whoever controls what branch or office you out of should call you into the office, sit you down, have a conversation with you. I don't think you should be allowed to be in the stadium anymore. I think you lost that privilege. Termination, suspended? No, I don't think you should be terminated and suspended. But there should be some repercussions concerning your image, your actions, and your conduct. Now that I do believe. I do believe your commander, whoever that is, should call you into the office. She sit you down and have a conversation. She showed the tape while you sitting there, and then ask him, "Do you really think this is a good look for us?" Sit him down, get his viewpoints, get why he did what he did, because there may be something we don't know, we didn't see. But I would, as a commander, have a sit down and conversation with him. I then will publicly address the issue because everyone's going to want to know what happened, what was said, what was done. So to keep some transparency with the Texan community and the public, me as the commander, I would come down here and I would address the issue. Like, hey, we all saw the video, we all saw what happened. The trooper was brought into my office. He was questioned and asked what happened, what was said, and why you took such an aggressive stance. And do you think that was appropriate at that moment, at that time, at that situation? Do you think that was an appropriate action and behavior being an adult? You were there to serve and protect. How you there to serve and protect and you causing your chaos? And you there to serve and protect, but you the one causing the chaos. You the one starting the chaos. You the one shining the bad light on a good game. More people are showing your conduct and behavior than they're talking about the magnificent games that Texas A&M put on the South Carolina Gamecock to come back and do what they did, to actually come back and win the game. No one's even focusing on that. Everyone is focusing on your bad behavior at the game. No one's focused on the game plan that the South Carolinas had starting off with and how they jumped ahead, how they basically put a whooping on them boys during the first half. No one's talking about that. Every video on social media and all the platforms about your conduct behavior bumping into some two grown men and then looking like you pissed. But in the video, it looked like you the one that started and initiated this. Make it make sense. No, I don't think the officer should be terminated and fired, but I do think he needs to sit down and talk with his watch commander. I do think he needs to come out making a public apologies to the two players. And I think he needs to also making a public apology to the public, to the university, to the student body. Because trust and believe me, they all saw it too. Everyone saw that video on both sides, right and left. So I think some public apology should be conducted by the state trooper division of Texas, and along with that officer, he needs to come out and make his own apology and ask for forgiveness for his bad behavior. He definitely needs to come out and do that. If nothing else, I don't think he should be terminated. I don't think it should be any more said and done other than some apology. And then let's just move forward. That's my time for this evening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you saw the video, if you saw what happened, and you happen to catch my video, catch my commentary, please leave your thought and opinions on what you think and how you feel about the situation, what you think should be done with the state trooper. Let us hear Stop the Capping, hear your voice, your opinions. There's no right and wrong opinions, it's your opinion. So, with that being said, drop a comment in the comment section. And thank you for watching this video. Until then, peace, maintain your flow, and keep your hands out of my pocket. Ta da, I'm out of here. Goodbye.